really love graphic design. What do you think of that design? That's a really nice font.
Back at it again.
This is the start of a new series we're thinking of doing, trying to be a little bit like the Anthony Fantano of graphic design. Taking a look at professional work out there. Normally we've been just shitting on like true YouTube designers. I'm gonna take a look at the big guns, some work done by agencies that have been around for 30 years or more.
Yeah, so, forever. Today, Verizon rebrand.
This one's hot off the press. This is the third time they rebranded since we've been alive.
It used to be Bell Atlantic, and they did a merger with some other big conglomerate bullshit. They became Verizon. Classic, hideous Verizon wireless logo. Some gradient check mark.
I low-key missed this logo. I remember it was like plastered on that huge sign in Manhattan.
Yeah, you can
Like
see it in the
building.
skyline. It kind of ruined the skyline in it's a lot of people's opinion, but this logo really brings me back to my childhood. When I first got a cell phone, I was always a Verizon boy.
Same.
Never messed with T-Mobile, Sprint, like
It's the best coverage. They kept telling us they were the best and we believed them.
So the advertising works sometimes.
And taking a look at the first version, I mean, there's something nice about it. It's like italic, looking ahead, like it's in motion. It's got this like motion blur on the ends of all the red parts.
And the word Verizon is a nice combination. So I'm assuming Horizon, maybe voice,
Verified, gets a check mark.
You know, there's some intelligence in the naming, but a lot of brands, they have this idea called empty container where they make up a new word where you don't have association with it, but you kind of build that through a lot of advertising, marketing. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know about the design. I mean, you seem to like it. I don't know.
No, it's a nostalgic thing. It was so ubiquitous.
Yeah.
Yeah, taking a look at how that was implemented.
Yeah, so there was this legendary campaign, this random white guy with glasses, like the original tech nerd, just walking around the entire world being like, can you hear me now? And then they can obviously hear him because they have the best coverage in America.
He was almost as well known as like the government's got milk campaign. Can you hear me now was one of the best taglines back when taglines were more of a thing, right? I feel like
people
like the times have changed. Taglines used to stick with companies as like literally the subtitle of the company for like a decade at a time.
This was early days of cellular technology. I remember the first camera phone.
Yeah.
And it was like mind blowing. You have a camera with you. That was just insane.
The MP3 player phone.
Oh, the Juke.
Yeah, the Juke. I had
Rock
the
the
Juke.
Juke. Juke.
Fast forward, Verizon gets rebranded by the legendary Michael Beirut.
Yeah, we talk all about this guy. You know, he's a professional designer, the best at taking something and making it extremely powerful, the most safe but hardworking design.
I remember when this came out, all the designers were freaking out because it was a really controversial rebrand because it became so bare bones. I don't know how you felt about it, but I feel like even from day one, I kind of really liked this brand system.
Yeah, actually.
Verizon is a utility company at the end of the day. Utility companies should just be doing their job, providing us with services, the equivalent of like electricity or power. It's like, shouldn't have those. It should just be straight to the point, telling you what it is, black and white, making things like very easily digestible, straightforward and upfront. Their payment plans and everything kind of followed suit with that, where they're like, oh, like same pricing across the board for everyone, no matter where you are.
Yeah, I really like this typeface. It's hardworking. It's like a Helvetica variant. One thing I will say, as like with personal experience, we've done work for Verizon, and I understand this system being implemented because of how difficult it was to work with them, how many voices, how many changes. If they didn't have such a tight system with like really rigid rules, it would be impossible to design. It makes a lot of sense. It does the job. I never, loved it, but I appreciated it.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it's part of a socialist vision of like
everyone gets the same phone.
I think it obviously is cold, but there's something about it that feels like it should be the case for a company like Verizon specifically. Like I wouldn't like this branding for anything else.
I see this. Like what else could it be?
Vice kind of did something similar, and I feel like it's more appropriate for Verizon.
Yeah.
Now moving on, what we have today, bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, so I think there's this trend going on. We're kind of going back to maximalism. We're rejecting minimalism, add back ingredients. Everyone's trying to market to Gen Z in a way where, we got to catch their attention.
ADHD in design.
We got to add some splashes of color, some bright images, blah, 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 boom, boom, boom. This is as crazy as Verizon probably would allow is this little move here.
It's cool that they kept the same exact typography. They just like removed the check and went for like an embellishment and stuff.
I like how they created this like forward bracket within the V. One is going behind, but then there's this like bracket, which I think we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see that how they use that within the system.
This is what they've done with it. It's definitely more playful. Like first gut impression. It feels more lifestyle. Obviously, it shifted from like the cold tone of like the typography approach.
The first thing I noticed before even the logo change was the introduction of this vibrant like electric yellow. I mean, it does a nice job to add a dynamism to all the layouts, especially when they use it on the red. It has like a really intense vibration, which usually you would avoid, but I think that is their version of maximalism. You wouldn't think to do that right off the bat. That's not like a safe choice.
That's true. I'm getting the sense that you're feeling like this is like a good move for them. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but like if I'm being totally upfront about it, I think like, does this kind of company need to be like reaching out? Like they obviously are trying to target Gen Z, but is it doing what it's supposed to be doing? All of these mock-ups that we're looking at right now, they almost look like mock-ups that you purchase online, and this is like the default with the mock-up before you change the design. Is it doing anything interesting? I don't really know. It's like the list of words animating like Verizon is social, gaming, sport. How many times have we had to do that for every client under the sun?
I know. I mean, what I was liking specifically is the introduction of the yellow. I do not like
Chinese propaganda.
yeah. Maybe they're moving into China, but I do not like the V isolated on its own. I do not like the window treatment that they're doing with things kind of coming out. I feel like that's really like 2005 for me. Oh, we got sports, we got colors, we got cars, we got an abstract shape.
There was like that meme that, if you guys don't know the Instagram page, Screensavers, like I remember they had a meme that was like, I don't know how many things in a shape I got left in me. And it's like, this is like the most day one thing you do with design. I mean, we've been forced to do something like this, but the idea of typography as a window or a container for things. If I see this one more time, I might vomit.
Do I think it will work with their like strategy, with their goal? Yes. Do I think we're going to see anything that actually looks like this in the real world when they do campaigns? Honestly, I do not.
It's so unoffensive and generic that like I could see it. We pasted somewhere in Brooklyn, hitting yourself on the head with branding from like 2010. Really not doing much for me.
You look at it, it's literally an arrow pointing down. They went from a check like, oh, good, you win, congratulations, and now you're going downgraded.
I mean, looking at the merch here, can you guys imagine repping Verizon on your windbreaker?
So if I was working at a Verizon store, I would rather like the respectability of the previous color palette and logo than this trying to be like fashion weirdness. I feel like it's just inappropriate for what it is.
Unless they're changing their offerings, which I don't see that happening anytime soon. Obviously, this is just a mock-up, right, for the brand system.
You know,
but this is the thing. It's like there's so many brands that they shouldn't have these, mock-ups within that brand system. Like this is nauseating. It's like capitalist realism. It's good. They have every single minority represented in this collage.
That's what they ask for even when we work for them. Avoid white people unless it's a woman. I get it. Like we've had enough like white people in mock-ups. We need some people of color in mock-ups. That doesn't bother me, but it's just like, what is Verizon doing for people of color? It just seems like a pandering.
Yeah. All of this is again like boiling down to the same thing of gross capitalism, basically.
Yeah. It's unnecessary. It shouldn't exist.
Overall, is the design functional?
Sure.
Not doing anything crazy. They introduced a new pattern, a new color, the most possible generic art direction for an ad agency would produce, which is just
people smiling.
People smiling in the sun.
It's like we've had to do mood boards of this, like, people smiling together, people smiling outside.
It's used for a bank, it's used for a restaurant, it's used for gas station. How many times are we going to see this exact formula for literally anything? Just change the name of a company. Done. And charge $1 million probably.
I've worked at places where there's just folders called people of color smiling.
Not surprised.
I took a clip of the brand video.
Yeah, okay.
And I just thought it was nice to bring this guy back. He kind of left Verizon, went to Sprint. I'm glad to see him back. He's doing his same old thing.
He is getting the back.
He is winning more than Verizon in this whole situation.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, could this have been an ad campaign? How much does updating the logo do for this versus the system? Because you know how much money it costs to change the logo of every store across the nation for Verizon?
They did a lot, but they played it pretty safe. Maybe that was the strategy. They didn't want to spend too much money, so they're keeping typography all the same.
So Turner Duckworth, really established big New York creative agency, did this rebrand, but in collaboration with Verizon. So I feel like they were really shackled to their internal process and having to, like we said, we've been in those meetings. There's so many people, so many opinions, really risk adverse, which of course with a multi-billion dollar company, you can't take huge risk. But why spend the money in this way? It seems like they had a budget and they just had to spend the design budget.
All in all, like I don't love it. I feel like the yellow and red don't really work together in my opinion. The most interesting part about it is that they somehow got this through Verizon internally. But if you look at it together, the tones that could have been a little bit more considered. Pure lemonade yellow and pure like RGB red. It's got like a cream. They're also using it with white. Like if you look at it on the website, that's kind of off.
Yeah.
Like I almost wish that was a neutral gray.
Honestly, I would trust the old logo service a lot more than this. Because this feels too try hard.
It's trying to sell you a philosophy and an idea, and it's like, just give me my internet.
The water companies, like I guess they do that too. It should be the most basic need. It shouldn't be like a fun part of life. There shouldn't be a lifestyle behind your cell phone carrier. I'm sorry.
Yeah. They were hoping that this would breathe new life into it. And while I can see that they're trying, it really doesn't, because this is the exact brand of like every big corporate brand in existence. They're just 10 years late.
Yeah. If you're Gen Z, like do not fall for this. Do not fall for pandering. Reject. If someone's pandering to you with your design, it's probably because they're trying to take your money.
Maybe now's a good time to switch to
Cricket,
T-Mobile, Boost Mobile. The best thing to come out of this is the Can You Hear Me guide now, full circle coming back.
Yeah, this brings it up for me. I really appreciate that. And then to end this, we should just address the elephant in the room. Obviously, a red thing with dimension logo like this, everyone's gonna see Netflix. And is that a problem? Do we think that's an issue? A lot of people love to call out, oh, you copied this, in the design world. That never really bothers me because everything is derivative, but
yeah, I feel like it's fine. This matters more when the idea is more unique. For instance, like the Whitney Museum, something like that is so mechanically interesting and formally rejects all traditional design, but this just falls in line. It's just like one of the bag of tricks that every designer has that it has been designing for more than 2 years.
Exactly. It should stand on its own either way. I don't think anyone's gonna get confused. If they're going to Verizon, they're like, oh, how come I can't stream Bridgerton?
Let's give it a grade from 1 to 10. Let me think about it. All right, 1, 2, 3.
6.5.
No, I'm giving it a light 4. It's neither doing anything interesting or new or helping the considerations and my preconceptions of Verizon as a company. I could give it points if it was doing something more exciting. I could give it points if it was augmenting what Verizon actually is, but to me, this is just like you said, it's pandering.
My rationale, it could have been so much worse. I don't mind removing the check mark from the logo lockup because that's already annoying to work with. In practice, it'll be a lot more similar to how it has been. I wish they kept in some of the black. That's my biggest criticism. Not having a black background makes it feel weak to me, but at the end of the day, it feels like a campaign, not a rebrand.
Yeah, that's true. It's like Verizon in the summer.
Yeah, exactly. What are they gonna do this in the winter? It's not appropriate.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say we could average that out to a 5.
Call it a day.
Call it a day. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mid, whatever. Anyone who's saying it's good doesn't know what they're talking about. Anyone who's saying it's the worst thing in the world doesn't know what they're talking about. It's just exactly what you would expect. Nothing exciting.
Yeah, it's a definition of cookie cutter.
Whatever you do not take this as a Verizon advertisement. We do not support them. We do not like them. We don't think you should even have a cell phone. So
I kind of like Fires.
No, we're talking about cellular. Cellular. Yeah, I like Fires too. I do like.